So I wanted to share this powerful new passing concept called shoulder impact I've been using recently. To ultimately pass the guard, you have to get around your opponent's legs and consolidate chest to chest. If there's space between your chest and their chest, they can often get their foot back in between you and recenter back to their guard. But when your chest is completely locked to theirs, there's no space to do that. So when we're passing the guard doing Toreando passes and we focus on creating a direct line, we can drive our shoulder very fast to their chest and lock the position in before they have a chance to get their feet in to defend. This makes passing the guard extremely fast and extremely unpredictable. So first, I'm gonna break down this system on the mat, and then I'm gonna give you guys narrated sparring clips at the end to consolidate understanding the system. So the main goal as I approach is I have to deal with two main aspects of his defense. One is the legs, which is gonna be either his feet in the way or maybe even his knee in the way with a knee shield, and the other one is gonna be his arm frame. So even if I clear the feet, he's gonna be framing with the arms. We're gonna focus first on dealing with the legs. So when I'm dealing with the legs, you just want to understand whichever method we do, that I'll get into it, but there's a lot of different mechanics we can use. I'm just trying to get the legs out of the way so I have a direct line to the chest to hit with the shoulder, right? So for example, if I was here and I have the pants like this, I'm just trying to snap it out of the way. So if I snap out of the way here, I have this direct line I can do where I drop my knee or maybe step wide, right? So again, I could be like this. Here, he's got his feet kind of, or maybe do a knee shield or something, right? So he's kind of knee shielded. If I tried to hit here, the knee is in the way. But just by snapping the legs up like that, you see, I create that direct line that I can hit there, snap out and go for the pass. Again, we're gonna do many different ways of dealing with this. I can pull in the legs, I can push them, I can try to spin him, but I'm always trying to find a way to connect in quick with the shoulder. So an important point to mention with this is if my opponent has no grips, often their arms are going to be ready to frame, and we're going to talk about how to deal with that in a second. But if he has no frames, or if he's making grips, so suppose he was to grab my sleeves, in the moment that he's grabbing the sleeves, he won't have a frame, right? So there, it's always going to be easy to hit these kind of drive angles. So when we're initially approaching, the first base understanding is getting rid of the feet and creating a line to the chest, and that could involve him either grabbing one of my sleeves or just having no frame. So before getting into the different ways of getting the feet and knees out of the way, the two main ways that we're going to be able to drop our shoulder in quick is either going to be dropping to our knee or doing a wide base. If I drop to the knee, it'll look something like here. I'll open the legs and see I drop like this and try to hit in with the shoulder there. The other one that is a bit more versatile and allows me to move more is a wide leg stance, right? So a lot of times when people come in, their legs are very narrow like this, and it's hard to lean in and put weight because I have to hinge really far, right? But if I'm here like this and I step really wide, it allows me to be in this position where I can kind of pivot down in touch with my head or my shoulder like this. And this allows me to not only connect with the shoulder, but if I need to, I can even circle all the way around to the other side or consolidate in north-south. So now we're gonna talk about a few different ways of moving and dealing with the legs. So one of the most simple ones is just I make pant grips. I can either do a cuff grip or I can do on the outside of the pants and won't get too involved in that. And all I'm doing is if I feel like the legs are kind of in the way like this, even if you bring your feet up a little bit like this, I just press them out of the way. All I'm trying to do is create a direct line. I could be here like this and even go there and create a direct line there too. I'm just trying to snap them out of the way. Another really good way to do this, especially if the foot comes to the bicep, is we can pull them out of the way. So instead of pressing them out of the way, we actually just rip them like this, right? So if I'm here and I snap there, again, I have a direct line I can hit there. Later on, we'll talk about if the frames are too difficult, you can also use this to step all the way around to go to the other side. Another great grip is focusing on controlling the ankle or the knee. This is especially important if you're fighting someone and their pants happen to ride up, or if you're trying to use some of this in no-gi, then you won't be able to reliably use the pants. If the pants ride up here, sometimes it can be nice because I can control where the knee goes more, or I can disconnect elbow-knee space, but the problem is I don't control where his foot goes. If the pant is all the way low like this on both sides, it's much easier because as he puts the feet in the biceps, I can kind of steer the feet around like this. But the more the pants ride up, like this, then I can't really control that as much if he lassos and stuff, exactly. So when the pants ride up, I tend to use a lot more pulling motions, or maybe I'll do that when I'm really close and I get in close on the knee like this, and then I can move and steer like that. But it's something important to keep track of. So if the pants are very unreliable like this,
and I can't use any form of pants, I can do an ankle grip, and I can do a pant grip on the inside, or I can do a knee cup and keep your knees tight, right, like this. And I can do the same kind of stuff, trying to hit with the shoulder and switch into consolidate. Another point to mention is my initial stance. So as I said, when I pass, a lot of times I like to have this wide stance to finish, but even when I initially approach, a lot of times I have more of a wide stance. This is a really important concept. I actually kind of understood this much better when I had back issues, because a lot of times it's hard to bend over like this when you're approaching the guard. But a lot of time when you're approaching the guard, you're going to be bent over fighting an opponent on their back. So by widening your legs like this, you can actually hinge, and my level is already much closer to his chest. If I'm all the way up here, I have to close so much distance to pass. It can be done in knee cut series, which I'll do videos on that in the future. But by being here like this, it's way easier for me to be in here and make quick steers and quick moves to drop level because I'm already so low.
So now that we've discussed how to deal with the leg frames, we're gonna talk about dealing with the arm frames. But real quick before we get into that, if you guys are enjoying this content and you wanna help support the channel, be sure to check out my new website with Espen Mathisen called mavericksjj.com. We have a lot more content on there as well, both instructionals and also a section called the Mavericks Lab, where we break down new systems and techniques that we're developing on the mat weekly.
So in the case that our opponent is now starting to frame, we have to worry about different problems. If he doesn't have a frame, we have a direct line as soon as we move the feet out of the way to hit the chest. But now I can already tell he's getting ready to frame with this. So what would happen is as I move the feet out of the way, I start to go, he's gonna hit this. And then not only does that make it hard to get to him, but now his outside leg can start lassoing over and fighting. And not only does this keep me away, but it actually makes it easier for him to use to pivot back to the center and do things like that. So what I'm gonna do, again, I'm moving around, I can hit to either side, he doesn't know where I'm gonna go. When I sense that frame is gonna come, what I'm gonna do is I actually see where it's coming. So it's more like boxing or something. I'm gonna slip the frame, I'm gonna slip the position. So he's about to frame there, so he thinks he's about to hit my shoulder when I go, and I change my angle to hit on the inside here. So now my shoulder can hit straight. Now, no matter how flexible the guy is, once I'm already in here, it's much harder for him to get the feet in because my chest isn't. And it's easy to switch this up and go into north-south or consolidate in a side. So one more time, looking at that, I could be somewhere like this, right? See, he's about to frame, go ahead and frame it when I go. See, he frames here, now I'm gonna go again, frame. And I hit a clean angle in like that. So just giving another example of this using a pull mechanic. So let's say I was here like this, I'm controlling the pants, he starts to get the foot in the bicep. Again, here I'm gonna get the foot out of the way by pulling it off. But again, I know he's about to frame with his hands here, so as I go, get ready to frame here, I hit the angle there like that. So again, I'm here, I'm pressing, I feel that, the foot comes in the bicep, it's too hard to push off, so I'm gonna snap it off and try to move it out of the way. I already feel that frame coming there, so right before I go, I try to shift it to that side a little bit to dip the frame and I can hit in. Again, I could immediately go over the back to finish here. I could keep this down. Sometimes I go all the way around to the other side. It's hard to predict beforehand how I'm gonna end up. Another important concept to understand is the idea of elbow-knee connection. As long as his elbow and knee is tight, even if I'm here, he can always press off with the knee to make space to loop his leg in. So I have to find some kind of a way in here. A lot of times we try to disconnect the elbow-knee space to get in, but sometimes that's really difficult. And even if his elbow and knee stays really tight, as long as my shoulder can hit the chest here, I don't have to open that in the classic way from side. It's very easy from here to start digging my right arm in and start switching up. So without ever disconnecting the elbow-knee space, if we can close the line directly to the chest, we get really great options, right? So he keeps the elbow-knee tight here like this, right? Yeah. He keeps the elbow-knee tight here like this, right? And without ever disconnecting this, I just see the straight line. And you see I've hit that shoulder right there like this. Now I can start switching up, digging in, and finish the. So another useful version of doing shoulder impact is gonna be when I hit the side of the hip. So in this case, my opponent is a little bit more centered, and sometimes it's hard to get a direct line because the knee is a little bit in the way, in the same way towards the chest. So what I'm gonna do on this one is I'm gonna push his hip to the side a little bit, and I'm gonna focus on my shoulder hitting here. And this is gonna do two things. It's gonna turn him over, but often what happens is my shoulder will end up clearing inside, and then now I'm fully in the position to finish the pass. Of course, I'll keep this grip. I was just showing the position. So if I'm here like this, I'm gonna push the leg out of the way. He's gonna have that center position, and I'm gonna hit there like that. And see how my shoulder dips inside that position? Now I can go out and go over the back, consolidate in here, and lock the position in. So one more time, I'm moving around, I hit here, and I drive with that straight line with my shoulder into the hip until it opens up. So this next one I refer to as frame cracking, and the idea here is if his arm is straight as a board, then the frame is gonna work well. But if I catch my opponent ready to frame, but it's still slightly bent, if I see it and I go really quick, I can hit it so quick that as long as his arm is bent, there's too much weight dropping down and I can break through here. And again, from here, I can go over the back, I can go all the way around, I can consolidate, switch to north-south, however you want to finish. So one more time, I'm here like this, right here, he's getting ready to frame, but it's not fully extended, and I hit all the way in quick, switch out and finish. Okay, so the next situation is my opponent is getting ready to frame, and I just feel like for whatever reason, it's hard to get everything to work to this side. So one thing I can do is I can quickly pull the legs to the other side. I can either just move his legs or I can move myself a bit here like this. But the thing is, I don't want to stay up here. I want to close that shoulder really fast when I do this. So what happens is I'm here, he's getting ready for the frame here, and I just feel like it's going to be too hard to get in here. So I fastly snap the legs to the other side and close that shoulder space quick. Again, once I'm inside that elbow knee space here, it's very difficult for him to recover that space. He can bring his knee as tight as he wants, but I'm already in consolidating and finishing the pass. Another really powerful counter is when I just make my shoulder disappear. So what happens is I'm here and he's getting ready to hit this frame. For this one to work, I have to get some disconnection of the elbow knee space, because what's gonna happen is I wanna snap this open, so a little looser. I wanna snap this open, and now as he goes to frame my shoulder, if I release, I can switch my ribs in like this and hit a really clean position to get inside the elbow knee space. But if his knee is really tight and I hit this, it won't work because the knee is gonna be here and now he can press me off. So this one's kind of case dependent, but it's very easy to hit at times. So I can just be here like this. And if I feel like I get enough disconnect, and again, I pop this forward as I rip this open. If I get enough disconnect, I make that decision real time and I can shoot my rib right into that gap between the elbow and knee and dig in and finish the pass. Also keep in mind, you can always use these combinations with one arm throws as well. So instead of going with two arms to the side here, I can be here like this and throw the shoulder in quick like that. Now again, I can switch the arm in. I could, if he turns back into me, I can switch up, go towards north-south and switch it up. This gives you a lot more versatility in your movement as well, because I can come in and hit those kind of angles and go. But again, the whole idea with all of these is you have to use speed and you have to use surprise. If I'm here and I'm doing this really slow and he blocks, it's not gonna work. But if I'm here like this and I get in quick, it's easy to find the way. So it's important to remember, I won't always have an opening for this. There's gonna be some times where the guy's legs are so difficult, the pants are short, he's pre-framing so much, there's just no way to get in. And in those cases, we'll use different options. We can always do things like trying to set up a knee cut pass, which I'm gonna do a video on soon. If his legs are really high, I might try to go for a stack. If I want to continue with the Toreando, I can also, if he's like framing a lot, I can just kind of snap the feet out of the way and I keep them out of the way, but now I'm going to go around and try to find a way to get chest to chest either directly from north-south or going all the way to the other side first. So again, if I can ever take a direct line immediately, I'll always take it when I can. It's like an immediate jab and knockout punch at the same time, but sometimes it's just too difficult. The guy's feet are difficult, he's framing too much, so I block the feet here and I keep them out of the way, and see now I've created another angle. The feet are out of the way. I can start digging in and trying to find my way to finish.
All right, guys, so now I'm gonna narrate some sparring and competition clips using these techniques in action, but also I just added a free video on the Mavericks Lab. I'll put a link in the description showing another great system you can use with this, utilizing the outside knee grip, which completely blocks your opponent from looping their leg in, and that's set up on the lab for free, so be sure to check that out. All right, so this first clip is actually one of my favorites. It's Leandro Lo versus Satoshi from Worlds 2012. I'm actually in the background watching this one live. So this is a great example of seeing when the person's gripping and there's no frame. So you can see Satoshi is grabbing his leg with his right hand, maybe trying to play reverse de la Riva. So there's going to be no frame on that side to block the shoulder. Now Leandro pumps the legs to the left to kind of move him out of the way, and then he pumps them back to the right, completely clearing the legs and the knees. And he gets this beautiful straight shoulder line to the chest here like this, and he can drive in. Once he's all the way in, he fast shifts his left arm over the back to consolidate into north-south, a common finish for this situation. Next shot is me with one of my students, David here, being a great uke for the video. So here I'm coming in, and you can see he goes for the frame, and in this one, I angle my shoulder like I showed in that one where you drive towards the hip, 90 degrees. So now as he tries to frame, you can see my angle at 90 degrees is very hard to hit the shoulder, and he ends up framing on the rib, but this doesn't stop me from being able to drive in. Now you can see my shoulder has fully gone in, I've cleared the elbow knee line, and now I'm coming all the way in to consolidate. I switch over the back. He tries to pull his leg up here for a second, but I get in. Next one is Leandro and Muhammad Muhammad Ali. This is a great example of pulling the leg back to get rid of the foot. So you can see the foot is completely in the way, and as he rips the leg back here, he snaps it out of the way. And now he comes around and he gets that beautiful angle there to see the shoulder fully connect. From here, it just depends on how they move, but he switches over the back again, a common theme when finishing. You can see him trying to grab his leg to pull in, but eventually Leandro gets it out of the way and consolidates. Next one is me with David again. This one is a good example of a frame cracking. So I kind of drive in and you can see he's starting to frame, but even though it's still slightly bent, it's just enough for me to get force on it, and it both buckles the arm and even the wrist, and I can drive all the way in. This time when I go around, I actually go over the back with my right arm first because I ended up drifting so far over the head. Another good example of frame cracking here, I just drive in really quick, his arm buckles, and I can go all the way in, this time with the over back grip, but more in side control. This is a great example of going to the other side. I could tell David was very much expecting the same side as before, so I switched and drove in with the shoulder on the other side. Now he was completely missing the frame, and you can see my shoulder already clears in. I rip my arm out, and I have the chest-to-chest space and lock in. This is a great example of one I didn't cover, which is Sam Nagai initiating this while sitting up versus Isaac Dodelin. So you can see here, while he's sitting up, he actually initiates with the shoulders sitting up, which is a great transition when going from sitting up to the back when passing. And he almost gets the pass here, but Isaac is able to turn in enough and get the knee shield. But what he does, Nagai rips the legs to the other side now and jumps all the way to the other side. And now you can already see he has that shoulder in just like the last clip. And now he's already in. In this case, Isaac starts to turn away, and Sam Nagai does an amazing throw over for an arm bar attempt here. Really good. The next shot here, again, me with David. This time it's the same thing as going to the opposite side, but I do it with a one-arm throw, which sometimes is easier to avoid the legs because by releasing, his leg just kicks out into the air, and I got the shoulder all the way in, really quick to connect, and again, I go over the back. Here's another great example I've used many times. It's using the sleeve gripping. You can see with Leandro's left hand, he grabs the sleeve to pull it up off the floor so he can't frame. I did a video on this recently, and now he does a throw to the right side here. And you can see what I love about this shot is it gets such a crazy good angle to see the shoulder all the way there. See, he's still holding that pant leg with the shoulder dipped all the way down to the chest. And from here, he digs in and goes into more of this north-south scramble. I did a video on this as well, where I talk a lot about this north-south finishing position, which is so important versus the best guards. This next shot is Leandro Lo versus Max Jimenez. And in this case, he doesn't do a shoulder impact. Maybe he just felt the frames were too good. So he does more of a step over. And I love this example because it's a great wide leg stance. That you can see how wide the legs really are here. And it's something that if you don't know about, you don't really pay attention to. But when you see it, you can't stop seeing it in passing. It's so useful for switching around to the other side and also dropping to north-south. Another good example of passing to the right side fast with the shoulder dropping in. And now this last example I really like is a great example of the 270. So he gets the shoulder to drop all the way in here, but instead of finishing on the near side, he keeps the pant grip on the first leg, on the near leg, and circles all the way around to the other side, coming to pass, and then looks like Muhammad Ali is starting to turtle. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this format of video, be sure to leave a comment and let me know. Also, let me know if there's any matches that you guys would like to see me break down or any videos you'd like to see me cover in the future. And as always, if you guys like the content, like, share, subscribe. Thanks a lot.